Welcome, I am Zombie Kitty, and welcome to another reaction video. I promise I'll get to gaming videos soon. It's just a bit too hot at the moment to do longer videos, but yeah, I'll try my best with them. But the last video we did was for the Unwithered Truth, which was the Cassidy theory video. I found another one that I really want to react to. I think this sounds quite interesting. So this is called What If the FNAF Timeline Was Planned from the Start? So it says reboot game dev concept. So I'm guessing this is going to have like Blender demonstrations in it and such as well. I'm not entirely sure, but I think this would be quite interesting because, as we all know, for the first few games, Scott did kind of wing it because he didn't know if the next game he made was going to be the last one. But it would be really interesting if it was all, like, the entire timeline was all planned from the start. So, yeah. This video contains flashing lights. Cool.
I recently put up a poll on my community tab section where I asked if you guys thought that it would be a good idea for the original FNAF games, i.e. FNAF 1 to Ultimate Custom Night, to be remade as to fit the newer lore. The results of this poll were mixed, with over 70% of people saying yes, this should be done.
I don't know if it is mixed.
The 30% that said no being the more vocal as to why they think that it would ruin the franchise in the comments. I'm honestly split about the idea myself, as reboots and remakes can invite a lot of their own problems when dealing with a franchise like FNAF.
Yeah.
That's why today I thought it would be more fun to create what I think would be a best case scenario for a reboot of the entire franchise, or at least a reboot of the very first game, to see what I think FNAF 1 could have looked like were the story planned out from the very beginning. Depending on how this video performs, I might just create more like this, but for now, I think it's best to look back at where the series started and try to reshuffle FNAF 1 to be a more narrative experience, taking the best of what came before and trying to leave out all of the weird contradictory material.
Cool.
The title of my reboot will be Five Nights at Freddy's Anniversary.
Okay, cool. Oh, this is a cool main menu. Whoa, part 1, Help Wanted.
My reboot would start exactly where the first game did. A newspaper article advertising the night guard shift for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Posted in the local newspaper, the Utah Province Daily Herald, is the following ad, published the 6th of November 1993. As you can see, not much here has changed from the original newspaper, aside from making the phone number to be the same from the security breach Fredbear posters and updating the minimum wage. Again, I'm not doing this to fit with security breach, but just to leave fun Easter eggs from this previous version of the FNAF universe. Nothing from any of the games is applicable to this new reboot's lore. In my ideal scenario, I would also make that abundantly clear in community posts and advertising for the game.
Hang on, let me just read this tweet. FNAF Anniversary is the start of a new canon. None of the previous game book lore applies. It's an adaptation, so there may be references / Easter eggs calling back, but old lore does not import into the new lore. Okay, yeah, no, this makes sense.
Released. The reason I decided to firmly set this game in 1993 rather than in 1989 or 1998 or 92 or any of the other proposed dates for the current version of FNAF 1 is mainly as a way to pay homage to Game Theory and their first FNAF video, which started the whole theorizing trend in the first place. However, there is a further reason, but we'll get back to that later. In the original game, the surrounding blurred out text was just some filler stuff that Scott put in for fun, but I think this is a great opportunity to further hint at other things going on.
Yeah, I did notice that not responsible for injury or dismemberment,
as well as an article about the unknown whereabouts of a Daily Herald reporter, Bronwyn Light, a character featured in the week before, who disappeared
I haven't read that yet.
over a week ago. Again, I'm not saying the week before is canon, but I just like the idea of adapting some of that story into this fresh universe.
Yeah,
the player
that makes
is
sense.
prompted to continue, but instead of being brought straight to night 1, the newspaper is pulled away from the camera. We didn't realize it, but we're actually already looking through the POV of our protagonist. We sit staring at an old boxy TV in a garishly decorated living room torn straight out of the 70s. We grab a TV
I have
remote
noticed the
and click through
plushies.
the TV channels using our keyboard or controller.
Yeah, so sister location, yeah.
If you want Circus Mania and her friends at your next party, call us today at 1888-578.
Cool.
Service Babies Entertainment and Rentals. Let fantasy and fun come to you.
A clock in the
Cool.
corner of the room will tick to 11 p.m. in 60 seconds, which will end these in-between night sections, or the player can always manually skip ahead with the button on screen.
Cool.
At the end of the game, all the stuff you watched on the TV will be available through an extras page on the main menu for
Yeah.
ease of theorists wanting to review. Anyway, nothing too crazy important on this first pre-night
No,
section
but I think
beyond
that's a
some
good
Easter eggs,
start.
so let's jump into night 1. 11 p.m. on November 6th ticks over to November 8th.
Okay. I think that's a good start.
Before
Part
I go
2,
into the
Freddy
night-to-night
Fazbear's
gameplay,
Pizza.
I think it's important that I go over exactly what this revamped pizzeria would look like.
Cool.
And I'm going to be drawing inspiration from all different versions of this building from over
Yeah.
the years. Reddit user RDTFGS made this fantastic layout based
Oh,
on
wow.
FNAF 1, Help Wanted, and the Into the Pit book. Despite those pieces of media not being a part of my new canon, I honestly love this layout.
It does
just
look
feels
really cool.
like exactly what I'm going for with this sort of revamped FNAF 1 pizzeria. But all credit goes to them for this really great layout, which I'll use
Yeah.
as a base.
Cool.
The only thing about this layout that I don't really understand is this double entryway, so I reckon I'll just lose that for my version. First thing we're going to add here is the ball pit from all the different Into the Pit versions, as
Cool.
it's a standout piece of modern FNAF iconography,
Yes.
even making its way into
You
the
have to
movie's
put that in.
pizzeria. So we'll place it in the back right corner of the room as is described in the original book. I'm going to shorten
Cool.
the hallways that lead to the security office as well, as the original FNAF 1 pizzeria has a lot of this weird dead space which is not really used. This new layout already goes a
So
long
there's less
way
space
to
for
fixing
Boxy to
some
run
of those
down.
problems, but I'm
Great.
just going to continue to condense down the space because I think it'll just make for a more realistic experience. Because
Yeah.
everyone knows that in a game with ghosts, haunting, animatronic robots, the most important thing is realism.
Realism, yeah.
To use up some
of
more of
course.
the empty space, I'm going to add a manager's office, as there seems to not be one in the original layout, and
Yeah,
one
which
is
is
mentioned
interesting.
in both Into the Pit and the Silver Eyes. In general, it just makes sense to have one, so what I'll do is shorten the space between the bathrooms and put it in next to the kitchen.
Cool.
I'm also going to lose this awkward bend around the backstage and just make it so backstage is behind the stage. Keeping with
yeah.
that, I'm going to also move the safe room from next to the restrooms to beside the backstage. The safe room serves the same purpose
Okay.
in my universe as it did in the original, so I thought it would make more sense to be placed out of the way so employees could actually move away from customers rather than having to pass through to the bathrooms. Also, as a
okay, yeah.
storage room, it makes more sense to be next to parts and service anyway, so equipment doesn't have to be lugged across the restaurant. I'm going to also just reduce this small space here between the arcade and Pirates Cove, just because I think it makes more sense to kind of loop around in this U shape.
Yeah.
So in terms of rooms, that's all I think we need to add or change from the
Cool.
old layout. So now we
It
have
looks
to
a
talk
lot more
about cameras.
concise.
I definitely want to keep the old eerie feeling of FNAF 1's cams, so as little
Hmm.
visibility as possible is key. Here are all the camera placements I was imagining, and while I won't go through them one by one, the safe room will remain off camera beside the backstage cam.
Yeah.
We'll also add
That makes
3
sense.
new cameras, one for the arcade, one for the prize counter, and one for the manager's office. Great, so now we have our building layout
Okay.
and our camera system.
Oh, that
Aesthetically
looks
for the
so
building, I
cool.
don't want the reboot to stray too far from the original series, as I find reboots or fan games often try to completely redefine every aspect of the
Yeah.
franchise's most iconic
That makes
elements.
sense.
Obviously, it makes sense to want to put your own spin on things, but for me, FNAF 1 is so classic that making things
Don't hurt
too
it too
different
much.
isn't worth it. Some
Yeah.
things I'll add, though, are old toy animatronic parts in the backstage area,
Cool.
along with really old withered costume parts. Because yes, in my universe, the Unwithereds are undeniably canon. I mean, are you really surprised? I think some retro...
But also, it makes sense because FNAF 2 is set before FNAF 1. So yeah, why would this location not have the toy animatronic parts? Why would they not have the Unwithered and stuff like that? But yeah, that makes sense to put the Withereds and the toy animatronics in here. This looks really cool so far. The office looks really nice. Like, I really like the revamped look.
posters from 1985 peeling away on the walls or hidden behind arcade cabinets could be some nice touches. Maybe a few Fredbear's Family Diners posters into the Pit game style.
I've just noticed Bonnie there.
So that's our pizzeria, but what about the night-to-night gameplay?
Hello. Gameplay part 3.
With this being
so I
the
just
first
noticed
game
him there.
in the reboot series, I think sticking as closely to FNAF 1's simple game loop is the way to go.
Yes.
The usual loop of checking the cameras and closing the doors if the animatronics make it to outside the office is the same. Foxy's Pirate Cove mechanic is a little different though, as I thought it would be cool to introduce his light sensitivity from the other games into this one. Similar to FNAF 2, the cameras are all equipped with their own spotlights, and to keep Foxy in his cove, you have to flash him with the lights to make him recoil.
Oh, that's a cool animation.
To stop this from being a FNAF 2 puppet music box situation where the player just camps the Pirate Cove cams, we'll make it so that Foxy actually moves faster the longer the cameras are on his stage. That way you're only supposed to check his cameras to flash him, but not to stay on it or he'll just come right back in.
Oh, I'm loving this so far.
Mostly the same. Bonnie down the left hall, Chica down the right hall, but Freddy, while his gameplay is the same, has some interesting behavior. Every now and then, we can hear Freddy's music box echoing through the halls of the pizzeria. If we check the cams and locate Freddy while his music box is playing, we'll see that he is not facing the cameras as usual, but instead facing toward open ventilation shafts that'll come into play later.
Okay. Ooh. Whoa, no, hang on, we gotta go back. There was some text messing. There was some text there. What did it say? So the camera changed to it's me. That's cool. Look at that. I wear his face. His words are buried below. Find them and know my beginning. Whoa, I've just noticed he's looking right into the camera as well. That's like that Bonnie moment earlier where he was just staring right at the camera in the room. Oh, that'd be cool. Because in the original game, obviously, you got the Easter egg with it's me suddenly flashing up. It would be cool to have more of that. You feel very Freddy. Wait, what's the hint say? Freddy doesn't like what? Freddy doesn't like being in the spotlight. Which is weird because he's the main animatronic. Part 3A, extra duties.
So that's the regular loop, but I think fleshing it out with some extras could help this game to feel like a true revitalization of the series. I don't want to add too many extra mechanics as I feel like we're robbing ourselves of the opportunity to expand the gameplay in following games, but the week before gave me some inspiration for extra tasks we might have as our time being the security guard at Freddy's.
Okay.
In the week before, Ralph has to clean up messes, change out light bulbs, and while I don't think there should be too many of these extra tasks for this game, giving the player optional challenges for extra points and lore secrets could be a really fun idea. Some of these extra challenges could even help the player out with their regular check the cameras, close the doors gameplay. For example, a simple task could be to switch out a light bulb in the restrooms, just like in the week before.
Yeah.
The player is shown on the map where their next task lies, and so they have to make sure there's no animatronics nearby before heading there.
Yeah.
The player can then click a button on the screen and make their way to that room. How, you might ask? Well, the guard stands up from his chair, turns around, and enters the vents.
Oh, but Freddy was looking through the vents.
While in the vents, you stop every now and then to take a turn. There are directions on screen to inform you which way the vent will lead you, but there's nothing to stop you from taking a different path. We'll get back to that later.
Because Freddy was looking through the vent. We saw that a minute ago.
All of your tasks throughout the week would have a noise meter, which draws animatronics to them.
Okay,
if
so
the
like
player
with
gets
Ultimate
caught,
Custom Night.
they're dead. But if they succeed, they return to the office with no problem.
Hello. Oh, the reflection's
I think it's better
cool. He
if
was
the
just completely
animatronics
red.
can't fit in these vents, as otherwise that's a whole other problem to deal with, and it's probably
okay.
too much to add for the very first game in the series.
Okay, so
Like
Freddy
I was
can't
saying,
fit in
these
there.
should have a positive effect for the player on gameplay. So for our light bulb example, any animatronic that ends up in the restrooms will now spend more time in that area searching the lit up bathroom, meaning they are less likely to come and kill the player. I think these extra mini tasks would add a lot to the game, and they'd be randomized, so no two playthroughs would be the same.
Yeah, but also I think it rewards you later on, like what he was saying. It was like, yeah, they're optional, but you know, doing these optional tasks can either make your gameplay easier or not. For example, with the light bulb, if you don't you don't have to change out the light bulb, but it could make things a little more difficult for you if you don't do that. But I think it's good not to make it compulsory at the same time. This feels like a mix between like FNAF 1 and like Pizzeria Simulator. If you remember when you're in that office, you've got to do like printing out stuff and like clean the toilets and stuff via a computer. That doesn't make any sense, but yeah, it is that kind of thing. That's what it's reminding me of, but a little bit more movable. Like you're actually moving to these locations. Have you actually made this? I'm going to check that after this video, because I really want to play this.
It'd also give the player an opportunity to see different parts of the pizzeria up close, rather than being stuck in the office the entire time. In terms of other extra stuff you can do, you can see that we've added an arcade to the map, so you know we've got to add some 8-bit minigames, but we'll talk a bit more about those in detail later on in the upcoming lore section of the video.
Okay.
Now, something much more substantial I'd like to change with this game is Night 5.
Yeah, because Night 5 is a bit
I'm taking heavy inspiration
ridiculous.
from FNAF 4 here, but something I think was really interesting about that game was the choice to switch from the regular animatronics to Nightmare Fredbear on Night 5. Totally stealing that idea, Night 5 will have the player go up against the one and only Golden Freddy, who will be rocking his withered Fredbear look. Now, I'm all for the idea of Golden Freddy taking the form of his bandmates in the original series, but I think that was more of a response to the fact that Scott didn't plan out the series from the start, so he needed to explain why Golden Freddy looked different in the first game, despite there being no reason for the company to repair a suit that they're not using. However, we don't have to worry about any of that here, so in my reboot, Fredbear looks the same as he did all those years ago. Story-wise, there is a reason that Golden Freddy takes over on Night 5, but again, I'll go into that later in the lore part of the video.
Cool.
I imagine that on Night 5, everything starts up as normal, but we notice that by 1 AM, none of the band have even moved yet. Then, suddenly, the power in the building cuts out, the cameras go down, and we're left in the dark.
No. I hate
this. When the power
this.
comes back on, the stage is empty and Pirate's Cove is open. All of the animatronics have disappeared, nowhere to be seen in the cameras.
No, I hate this.
Switching to the backroom cameras shows that the camera has been knocked down from its original resting place and is now lying on the floor.
Sorry, that's the audio glitched out. That scared me. It's me again. Whoa.
Golden Freddy is now your main threat, and will take the role of the other 4 animatronics. If he appears in Pirate's Cove,
hated that.
flashing him away will make him return to his regular pathing, otherwise it's a game over. Surviving Golden Freddy is a difficult task, but if we do survive, well, we'll talk about that later. So that's Night 5, but I'm going to do away with Night 6 entirely. I think as cool as it is to have an extra night, the series is called Five Nights at Freddy's, so the custom night will act as the extra night and be a non-canon challenge mode, and not have a night number. The custom night will...
Okay, sorry, I've interrupted him. Because the thing is like, the first game had 5 nights, then you had Night 6. If you remember Mark's like famous reaction of like, yeah, I did it! Wait, what do you mean? At seeing Night 6, and then it's like, oh, Night 7 is custom night, but yeah, it's not called 7 Nights of Freddy's that will on go. It's called Five Nights at Freddy's. So yeah, I agree with that. Oh my god, that audio glitching out scared me. That looks so cool though. That would be terrifying, like, oh, your foe is this giant animatronic head that's just gonna, like, appear by your office. That's terrifying. That is creepy.
Provide the same options as usual. Animatronic difficulty settings, any challenges like low power or longer nights, stuff like that. There will also be the option to activate Golden Freddy, who will take on the AI of the most difficult animatronic you have set, and take over at 4 AM, FNAF 4 style. So, that's our gameplay, nights 1 to 5, along with any custom night shenanigans a player might get up to.
Cool.
But what does it all mean?
That's a cool screen.
What is the real story behind Five Nights at Freddy's Anniversary?
Lore!
FNAF 1 changed the way a lot of games looked at storytelling. It had an undeniable impact on people when it released, and the same core storytelling philosophies have stuck around to this very day. So, what can we do to make sure this reboot intrigues people in the same way, makes them want to pick apart every tiny detail until they feel like they've figured out all the nooks and crannies of this fresh take on the FNAF story? Well, for starters, I think keeping the focus in-game being on the gameplay rather than the story is something that the original FNAF series got right. The story wasn't spoon-fed to us. Any hints about the wider narrative had to be sought out by the community, which is what makes theorizing so fun to this day.
And
That's
a bit
why
frustrating.
The in-between night sections I mentioned earlier in Michael's home, or the mini-games I'll go over in a bit, are absolutely optional, and most of them will be hidden away to be uncovered. But before I go into the secrets, there is one character I've neglected to mention up to this point, or at least his role in this game. He is undoubtedly one of the most iconic and important characters, and is a crucial aspect to the way the original games
I'm thinking William, but you're not going to say...
And that is, of course, Ralph, the phone.
Yay, there we go.
In this game, Ralph will indeed be our guide, as he was in the original.
I was going to say, you're not going to say William or Michael.
Surviving the nights, while also dropping tantalizing teases to the wider Freddy's universe.
Yes. Ralph, the phone guy. Because that was the name given...
Hello? Hi there. I wanted to record a couple messages for you to help you get settled in over your first week on the job. I definitely could have done with a friendly voice on these long nights, so I thought I'd give you one to listen to.
Yeah,
Ralph will introduce himself as the location's manager.
My name's Ralph. I'm the manager of this fine establishment. I'm also currently the night guard and the janitor. Staff has been hard to come by as of late, but thanks to you, I finally have a replacement.
The week before yours.
Someone's coming in from on high to be the new manager, but you have the
Someone from
privilege of
corporate is
guarding the
taking
building
over as
after
manager.
hours and cleaning up a few things here and there. This is my last week on the job, so we'll both be braving new beginnings together. Let's see here. There's an introductory greeting I'm supposed to read. You know, sort of a legal thing they had to bring in a few years back.
He'll give a hilariously satirical company greeting that no sane person would stick around to hear the end of, because they'd already be out the door looking for a safer line of work. Ralph assures us nothing will go wrong, as everything in Freddy's has a completely logical explanation. Ralph mentions that the animatronic characters have been stuck on stage since the bite of '87.
Yeah, things really haven't been the same since then. You know, people could excuse one bite, but two? In 4 years?
Yeah, the 83 one. We talked about that
Theo
before.
really had a hard time with that one. Anyway.
Ralph explains that the animatronics get a bit quirky at night. They're set to free roam at night to stop their servos from locking up and move toward wherever the people are. They can't seem to recognize adults after hours, and so they think you're an endoskeleton without a costume on.
Yeah.
That leads to them stuffing you inside an empty suit, killing you. This final point is confirmed to us anytime we die, as we're brought to a game over screen where our player is seen stuffed into a moldy yellow rabbit costume in the back room. On night 2, Ralph congratulates us on making it past our first night
Interesting
shift.
that there's a rabbit costume.
Hello? Hey, look at you.
Hi.
Night 2. You're a natural.
Thank you.
Probably.
Yeah.
We're reminded that the work of Fazbear security guards extends beyond sitting in an office watching screens all night.
Yeah, and this is
Sometimes
where
there will be
the
busybody
optional
work
stuff
that
will
needs
come
doing
in.
around the place, which you'll be notified on your cameras about.
If you do need to leave, though, use the ventilation duct situated behind you, on account of the animatronics roaming and looking to stuff you into a suit. Be careful not to get lost, and once you're back out on the other side, try not to be too loud. The vents aren't big enough for the animatronics to fit through, though, so you should be fine.
Ralph also explains that Foxy, his favorite animatronic, is located in Pirate's Cove. Despite being marked out of order, he's still active at night. He doesn't like being watched, so it's best to stay away from his camera as much as you can. If he starts poking out, though, you can just hit him with your camera lights.
Yeah, which we already
He
talked
always
about.
had a problem with lights, that one. Wish we knew that back before he... never mind.
On night 3, Ralph is surprised
Stop doing
we're still
that.
working. The turnaround on guards is usually quite high.
it.
He supposes that we might never listen to this message, and if we don't, then that means Fazbear will be hiring again.
I really hope they don't call me. I don't know if I can turn them down.
Ralph tells us that if we ever
It's an
get bored,
unhealthy
we can
relationship
always
with
check out
Fazbear
the arcade.
Entertainment.
Some of the games are a bit glitchy, but most of them are fine.
You know, leaving the office unnecessarily during the night isn't the best idea. But a quick game here or there can be good for the soul. Just use
For
the
the
vents
cell,
to get there, and be back as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Those arcades are loud.
Of course, this is a hint that there are playable arcades which will be later
Yeah.
used to feed more story to the player.
Which is
Unlike
where like the
4,
lore would come from and stuff.
Wow, you're still here, listening to this. Hopefully.
Ralph's voice sounds tinier
Why?
than usual, and
Yeah.
whispering.
What is
I hope
happening?
your night's going better than mine. I popped out for a minute to get in a game of Fruity Maze and, guess I lost track of time. But it nearly got me. I panicked
So you were
and jumped to the
stupid.
fence, but I got a little turned around on the way back to the office.
Yeah, you were stupid.
I'm using my cell phone now to call the voicemail system. I hope this message makes it to you.
And
I'm
you're just gonna be
really
stuck
sure
there?
where I am. It's a bit of a maze in here. Fruity Maze.
He's still got,
I'm
yeah,
going to
still
try
got
and
a
hold
sense
out
of
here
humour.
tonight. Wait for them all to reset in the morning. In fact, I don't know why I didn't think of this before.
Okay.
I'm probably safer here than you are.
True.
So, there you go. That's your tip for tonight. Hide in the vents.
What was that noise?
Wait.
Ralph goes quiet. There's a strange slithering sound coming through the phone.
Is it Golden Freddy?
I didn't even know we still had you around.
Okay.
Oh no.
Remember before when I said the player could take any path they like in the vents? Well, if you stay in the vents long enough and take enough wrong turns,
Okay.
on any night you can find Ralph's body decaying in the vents.
Ooh! Oh my god. Oh, hello. I forgot about you. That's terrifying. No.
You're not allowed here.
No.
That's right, the puppets in FNAF 1, baby! So, obviously, in the original series, the puppet wasn't invented until FNAF 2, and thus had no way of appearing in the first game.
Okay.
Despite the second game actually being a prequel,
Yeah.
I didn't want to just add the puppet in as a regular character, but the idea of just ignoring her existence didn't feel right either.
Yeah.
Setting her up as this mysterious entity crawling through the walls
That
at
is
Freddy's
creepy.
felt like something more appropriate for her in the first game. Totally missable on a standard initial playthrough, but more important to the story at large. This is also why Freddy faces the vents and plays his music box. He's programmed to keep her at bay by playing soothing lullabies throughout the pizzeria.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about the puppet and her place in this game later.
And
but
you're
for now,
interrupting that.
Let's
Okay.
go on to Ralph's Night 5 call.
That
But
makes
Ralph's
sense.
dead. How can he call us?
Well, to draw from the week before again, on Night 5, before Fredbear shows up, the voicemail system crackles to life, as all the animatronics stay
And
in
it's Golden
place.
Freddy.
Hello? Hello? Pardon my asking, sir, but what on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The building is on total lockdown. This investigation has gotten really out of hand.
You sound
They're
different.
saying someone this is what
Yeah.
you want to hear, but they're saying we're probably gonna have to end up closing for a while. With all
You
the
sound
panic
different.
and the new animatronics acting up, it's probably for the best.
Hmm.
I promise I'll handle everything best I can. But for the time being, I recommend you finish your shift and try not to touch anything.
Okay.
I'll call you in the morning and update you.
That's Golden
Just
Freddy.
Please don't touch anything. Okay. Good night.
As
You
you
might. Oh,
Might
okay.
be able to tell this is my rewritten hodgepodge of the FNAF 2 phone calls from nights 5 and 6.
Yeah.
I have ideas about how that game would work, but rest assured that if I ever talk about what I'd do for that game, I would absolutely use this as the Night 5 phone call there as well.
Cool.
The night then proceeds with Golden Freddy doing his thing, and that's the end of Ralph.
Cool. Newspaper clippings.
This game would be full of small, creepy Easter eggs just like the first
Yeah.
game. Posters
Makes
changing on
sense.
the wall, characters with rare
Blah, blah,
screens
blah,
or
blah.
glitchy hallucinations, that sort of thing. I was also thinking you could have it fun to rackle fun. The only Easter eggs that I want to actually put focus
What
on
is
are the
happening?
newspapers, which I'm going to have make a return from the original.
Hang on.
The-
Pause. Something just came up on the top right. It said ARG link. Wait, when did this video come out? February. Oh, February last year. Okay, hang on. I want to take a note of what time stamp. 24:25. Okay, we'll come back to this clip because I want to go on that ARG link. I want to see what that is.
These were the thing that started it all back in the day, so I think it's only fitting we keep them as part of the... which I'm going to have make a return from the original. These were the thing that started it all back in the day, so I think it's only fitting we keep them as part of the reboot. On some of the cameras and in some of the rooms you can visit, newspaper clippings can be found, appearing and disappearing along the walls of the pizzeria.
This music is all over the
Much like
place.
the original, they tell of the missing children's incident.
5 confirmed victims of Fazbear disappearances.
I don't
After
remember the
company's
newspaper
promise of
clippings
safety
appearing
following the
actually in
multiple
FNAF 1.
incidents which occurred at their establishment many years ago.
Or wasn't there like an
Locals
Easter
are
egg or
horrified to
something?
see
I
the
can't
same
remember.
tragic patterns repeat themselves. Mascot killer still at large. Fazbear's Pizza closed for public safety.
Okay.
Despite management assuring the public that the closure is only temporary, it seems unlikely customers will be willing to trust the company ever again. Other Fazbear locations around the country have also been negatively stigma surrounding these incidents. CEO of Fazbear Entertainment found guilty. Linked to an Indian hurricane breathed a sigh of relief after the former CEO of Fazbear Entertainment was convicted last Thursday. Police suspect he was likely also responsible for
God,
the
this newspaper is... Yeah, this is all over the place.
Classic Freddy and Friends returning. New robots scrapped. After incidents of malfunction. Fazbear's newest line of robotic mascots, which debuted only a few weeks before the location's closure, are being older classic animatronics are set to be taken out of storage and refunded. The acting CEO of Fazbear Entertainment calls it a return to form.
I
A local
really
concerned
hope
mother was
not.
quoted as saying, "I really hope not."
Oh,
Fazbear
no.
Entertainment chomping down on health code violations. Management assured the Herald that the robotic mascots are cleaned regularly, but that the foul black mutants, which reportedly leaks from the mascot suits, returns without explanation. An official statement from Fazbear attempted to explain this bizarre, upsetting alleged phenomena as
unavoidable operational leakage.
No,
the
people's
health department
corpses.
told the Herald it isn't satisfied with this answer.
Yeah, it's corpses.
As you can probably tell, I'd like to weave a little more of the events prior to the MCI into the newspapers, as
Yeah.
it seems like they would be relevant considering the history and track record Fazbear has by the time of the MCI. However, there is another article which can only appear on Night 5.
Okay.
Young boy killed at local diner. On the morning of November 12th, a child's birthday celebration at the popular Fred
Oh,
family
was this the
diner
crying
turned
child?
into a horror fest when a group of
Yeah.
local teenagers forced a young boy into the mouth of the star animatronic. The twisted prank gone wrong ended in tragedy when the robotic performer crushed the boy's head, killing him instantly. The 4 young men are awaiting a consolidated hearing in Utah juvenile court, but sources say the victim's older brother led the brutal act and may be more liable, thus potentially charged as an adult.
I probably don't need to tell you what this particular newspaper article is referring
Like, we
to.
just watched a video to do with this. Arcade minigames.
As mentioned previously,
Sorry,
the
I'm just going
arcade
to say something really quickly. I didn't realise that particular article that we've just seen, I didn't realise it was like a canon one in FNAF 1. If it is, I think that's what he said. If it is, like, that's insane that it's already talking about what would end up happening in FNAF 4, which is insane to think about.
Five Nights at Freddy's will be accessible to the player to provide further Easter eggs and lore hints.
Yeah.
The player can go to and from the arcade at will, but can only play through one on each night without risk of being caught by an animatronic.
So this is like
there
Blood
will
and
be
Gears
5 minigames
fan
in
game.
total, and thus, to access the full ending of the game, one must complete an arcade cabinet every night. In classic Midnight Motorist fashion, there are 2 layers to each game. The regular game, and the hidden lore section, which can be reached through glitches or secret exits in the level.
Okay.
Arcade 1, Freddy in Space, Reloaded. This arcade is a platformer/shooter where you play as Freddy Fazbear, battling space aliens as you try to make it to the end of the extraterrestrial level.
Cool.
This game is a simple, goofy Mario clone, but one of the platforms colored purple will allow you to glitch your way out of bounds. Freddy falls off screen, and as he goes,
Like
his
FNAF
pixelated
World?
art form will slowly degrade until he no longer resembles a
Yeah,
bear.
FNAF World.
Instead, he is now a child, standing in a pizzeria.
Like
Bunch
with
of other
FNAF
kids
4.
surround the Freddy child. We can use the controls to make our character dance. The other kids cheer us on.
FNAF 4 All Help Wanted 1 end credits ending. Oh, there he is. Hi.
won a special Fazbear Prize for Best Performer. Follow me.
No. Okay, I
The
thought he'd
minigame
already
ends.
been...
Arcade 2.
He'd been
Bonnie's
crushed, but
Jammin'
no.
Jamboree.
Yeah, sorry, I thought him dancing was supposed to represent that he'd already, been possessed by the animatronic, or it was hinting towards FNAF, Help Wanted 1's, end credits ending, but it's not. It's just a kid who's being led away into the back room.
This is a rhythm game where we must match our inputs to the ones shown on screen.
Okay.
One of the buttons is never used in-game, its lane staying empty. If we mash that button, the screen glitches and Bonnie becomes a terrified face of a child. We can use the controls to make fingers come on screen and point at the child, who progressively gets sadder.
Okay.
Eventually we win and the fingers go away. A yellow hand comes on screen.
I have big ears too. I'll be your friend. Follow me.
Oh, so it
The
leads
minigame
all to the
ends.
original
Arcade 3.
kids.
Chica's feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
We play as Chica and must run around as quickly as we can to eat all
But the
food around
animatronics
level.
are representing the
If
kids
we choose
that
not to eat any
are
of the
appearing
food
at
by
the
the
end.
time the timer runs out, the level glitches. We're a
And
little
then there we
girl
go.
standing at a counter. Any button we press prompts us with
That's so rude. That's scary.
You look hungry. I'll show you where you can have all the food you like. Follow me.
the minigame ends. Arcade 4, Foxy's Pirate Ship Simulator. We play as Foxy, navigating a ship through stormy waters.
Oh, it's the ultimate
We have to
custom
avoid
night
big
picture.
icebergs and shoot other pirates who are trying to board the ship.
Cool.
If we ignore on-screen warnings, we can sail off course and run the ship aground.
Okay.
If we do that, the game glitches. We are now a young boy. Other children sneer and laugh. They take our glasses off and break them. The children leave.
And then the rabbit comes along and
A
says
blurry
hi.
yellow rabbit approaches.
Yes.
Your eyes don't work too well. I have a friend just like you. Would you like to meet him?
It's
Follow
Foxy.
me.
No, don't. Oh, jeez.
Don't worry. There's one just for you.
Kid, run.
The minigame ends. The
Kid,
final
run.
arcade cabinet is harder to find as it's not in the arcade like the rest. Instead, it is in the backstage area and will only activate on night 5.
Okay.
Arcade 5, Fredbear and Bonnie bite back. We play
This is
as
like a
Fredbear
Pac-Man
in a
type
much
thing, I
simpler
think.
style of arcade than the rest from a previous generation of arcade machines.
Yes.
It's a Pac-Man style clone where we're
Yeah.
trying our best to beat a yellow Bonnie by eating all the bits on screen before he does. We
Oh,
can find a
okay,
section
yeah, I
of the
get
map which
it.
we can pass through and bite our way off screen. We continue moving through a black void until eventually finding a young boy
Bye.
crying.
And we eat him. No, yeah. Nom nom. Yeah, Don't. Hi. Oh, and there's Cassidy.
A young girl is beating up another child. We must press buttons to beat them more and more. The kid runs off crying. The yellow rabbit appears.
Quickly! If he tells his mummy you'll be in big trouble, I can hide you. Follow me.
Okay,
Careful now. Don't move. If you move, you will die.
This reminds me of, like, the, what do you call
My
it?
son is in there with you. It's your job to put him back together. Let your anger give you the strength.
Now you can move.
The minigame ends.
Okay, I want to say something. So firstly, Jesus. But secondly, that final bit reminds me of, like, we reacted to this ages ago, but Dorco's, like, short film, The Birthday, with the ending to that, reminds me so much of that moment. But yeah, we also just watched a video to do with, like, the crying child and Evan, no, the crying child and Cassidy, sorry, being in the same animatronic. So we already talked about that. I think I watched them in the right order, to be honest. But yeah, jeez. Ugh, don't follow him, run away.
So, as you can see, I decided to keep the minigames only really relevant to the MCI for this game.
Yes.
As much as there is an abundance of lore to dive into in a retelling, I think the first game is the place to intrigue people with the simplest elements of the story, just like the original did. Obviously, there are some hints through these games to other things, like the Purple Man talking about his son to Cassidy, but overall, I didn't want to go too overboard with introducing other elements this early on. But of course, that's not where the lore of this game ends.
Okay. Part 5,
I
the end.
spoke briefly earlier about Golden Freddy's appearance on Night 5, and how he takes over from the rest of the animatronics. What I didn't discuss is what happens when we beat the night. In the event that we survive to the end of the night on a normal playthrough,
oh, hello. No, it ended. We're done. Whoa, it's me. Whoa, you're not supposed to stand up.
fade in on a notice of termination. Note.
So you
Didn't
die
bother to
anyway.
Turn up second week. Your first week's pay will not be issued. The end. This is, of course, the bad ending of the game, but assuming you played through all 5 minigames and completed all of the different tasks over the nights, this will unlock the good ending. Golden Freddy will still appear in the office and do all the creepy ghost stuff.
Okay.
But before he can bite down on your head.
Hey! Hi, puppet!
They don't recognize you, but I do now.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Is that because... So the puppet helping you in the good ending is because you've played all the mini-games, you've done all the tasks, and in doing so you've helped the other souls to rest because you've uncovered their past, you've uncovered their memories, you've helped them. And when we look at FNAF 2, Charlotte is the reason why the animatronics got possessed. She helped them possess the animatronics. I'm guessing that's what it is. But if we don't do anything, then Cassidy comes to get us. By the way, you're not supposed to stand up. That was terrifying. You're not supposed to do that. Find the codes. AnniversaryCodebreaker.com. Yay! Sorry to see you go, but really we're not surprised. Right, okay, I want to go back on a couple of things then. Okay, so I have just gone onto the website that's here. This was earlier when he was talking about this was just before the newspaper clippings and like the posters and stuff that would be on the wall, and then he started glitching out. A keypad appeared, if you remember in the video, and an ARG link also appeared. So it leads to a website called AnniversaryCodebreaker.com. Hints, so this is what it looks like. Hints in the captions to find the codes. I have no clue where to find them. This is quite a while later from the previous shot you just saw. I have no idea where to find them. If anyone wants to help me out, I don't know. I'm just going to make a guess. 1987. No, 1983. Is it maybe 1992? Because was that the one, what was the year he said he was going to set it in? Yeah, 92. Yeah, I don't really know what numbers he's referring to. But yeah, maybe someone else can look through this video and have a go at that. I will put this video down in the description below as well, so you guys can go off and watch this for yourselves. I really enjoyed this. I wonder if you have actually made this, because he has made obviously the ending cutscene and that kind of stuff. I do wonder if he has actually made this, and if so, can I play it? Because this sounds really cool. This sounds so cool. I would love to play this, and I love that it's like a mixture of FNAF 1 with like some of the tasks from Pizzeria Simulator. Custom night I also got reminded of, that was another thing. FNAF 2 with the light with Foxy. Some mechanics are a bit more, they're less vague in comparison to FNAF 1. They look a lot, they're like much clearer. I like the inclusion of the puppet because, again, FNAF 1 is actually set after FNAF 2. It makes sense that the puppet would be in here as well. I really liked this, and the cutscenes and the animation and even the way that the game would start is really cool, and everything essentially just makes sense for it to do that with the lore that we now know. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I wonder if you've actually made this. I want to play it. I want this to be real. But yeah, this was Unwithered Truth again. This was what if the FNAF timeline was planned from the start. This was awesome. I really want a game like this. But thank you all for watching. Again, I'll put the video down in the description below so you guys can go off and watch this for yourselves and figure out the ARG. If you guys do, please tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments what the code is. I want to know what it is. I want to know what the ARG was. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye!